A futuristic piston house. Sounds like a really fun project to work on. So this morning I've spent a little bit of time just doing some building, trying my best to make something that looks interesting. And I've got to say, I do think this thing's pretty cool. It's very modern. It does look quite futuristic. Here you can see we've got the entrance into the piston house, then we walk our way through here, and then this is kind of the framework for the build. So very, very open. There's kind of no walls because for some reason I imagine in the future there won't be walls. And I have to say it looks pretty cool. You know, maybe in like 40 years time, this is the sort of place that I'll be living in. But obviously right now it's very empty. So let's start filling it in with some interesting bits. First things first, we've got the entrance. Now originally I was going to have like a gate that drops down into the floor. That seemed like a cool idea, but then I remembered we're in the future, we should probably start using lasers. Because, come on, this is the future, we're definitely going to have lasers by then. The only issue is, the game mechanics that I used to use to make laser security systems don't actually work anymore, so I'm going to have to use a bit of a strange design. And that strange design also doesn't work currently in the snapshots due to strangeness with minecart rails and things like that, so now I'm even more lost. Apparently in the future we might not have laser beams after all. Thankfully though, I have managed to make it work, and I have to say it is worth it. They do look absolutely amazing. So if we walk through these, you can see that the redstone system actually detects it, and we'll get ourselves an output. Now obviously we need some way to switch this off because we don't want to be killed every single time we try and access our own house. Now to do this, I would say that a face scanner or an eye scanner is probably a good way to go. Is it actually going to work and scan my face, check that it actually has a mustache and those strange eyebrows that I have? I don't even know if they're eyebrows. I don't really know what they are. No, it's not going to do that, but it is going to look cool. Now, originally, I did plan on using a pressure plate for this, but because we're in the future, you know, that doesn't really fly, does it? So instead, I'm going to use a redstone lamp, which actually uses a fairly similar set of redstone mechanics to this system over here. We're going to be moving detector rails around and redirecting redstone signals without making things aware that we've redirected redstone signals. It's a bit of a strange one, and it's also a bit of an old school game mechanic, but I absolutely love it when it works. It seems like today I am really struggling with redstone contraptions of this type. But after repeatedly smashing my head into my desk for an extended period of time, we are now up and running. This thing is working. If I do a little eye scan here, you can see that it is detected that I am actually me. It's deactivated all of the lasers, and now we can walk through into the base without running into any problems. Whereas if a random person walked up, didn't use the eye scanner and just went straight through the lasers, well, they're going to run into some problems. Especially if they're as bad as I am at killing things. That would be a real problem. Anyway, it is now time to start work on redstone contraptions on the inside of the house. And one thing that I've always thought, when we're in the future, this is going to be the case, and I know these systems are available now, but they're going to be especially available in the future, is automatic blinds, okay? So this is going to be a system that will cover up my windows when it gets dark. Now, we have got some pretty enormous windows here, so we're going to have to do something interesting, and I'm not 100% certain what that's going to be just yet. I mean, out of interest, how tall are they? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 blocks in height. Alright. Okay, now that we have honey blocks and things, I think that should actually be possible. And I gotta say, it looks really, really cool. I'm currently in the process of just kind of templating things right now, but especially from the outside, I love the way that this thing looks. And of course, the way that we're going to do it is by making use of flying machines. So we're going to have alternating slime block and honey block flying machines next to one another that are going to be pushing this massive blocks. But let's quickly make sure that the single flying machine is actually working. So if I was to place something like obsidian next to this observer right here. Okay. That looks pretty good. And has that opened all the way up? Yes, it has. Alright, that's fantastic. And then when it comes to the closing of the blinds, first off, we need to power this one. And then it should just be a case of activating that. And that all seems to have worked amazingly. For the first time in today's video, something has worked on the first time. Well, at least I thought it had worked first time. Thank goodness I made a backup. And with everything restored and the slight redstone problem fixed, let's actually see if this functions. So it is now dark, and there go our blinds. I absolutely love this thing, right? Okay, and then if we were to go back to daylight... I mean, I think we can all agree that that might just be one of the coolest things I've made. That is seriously awesome. Alright, okay. We need to do it on the other side. Obviously far, far bigger. And then I guess we need to work out some automatic lighting systems, although that might not actually be necessary. That tends to lead to redstone lines being all over the place, and it looks pretty ugly. Now, the great thing about slime block and honey block contraptions is, generally speaking, expanding them is just a case of repeating the same pattern. So in theory, this should all work in exactly the same way. The only thing that's different is, I guess, okay, so the window is a tiny bit taller on these ones, so this observer location, or this redstone line location, needs to be slightly different. Not exactly a massive change. And with that now all in place, if it gets dark in this world, here go our blinds. So that feels all warm and cozy inside here, so everything is shut off. We can now go to sleep, and then when the daylight comes, our windows are opened, all fully automatically. This will never get boring for me. Seriously, I think I love this. But I can't help but notice that our house doesn't currently have anything of use on the inside of it just yet. Don't worry, that hasn't slipped my attention. We're going to work on that now. But one thing that I've noticed with futuristic houses and things is that they never have anything on display. There's never... You don't just have like a toaster on the side, you know? Everything is hidden away, everything is concealed. So that's something that we're going to work on in this build as well. And I feel like... I mean, we can definitely use these areas to our advantage here. And that, of course, means once again we are going to be making use of flying machines. Now, these ones should be a little bit simpler because unlike these ones, which are pushing massive numbers of blocks, here we actually only need to go 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks upwards. So that means that actually we don't need any of the top piston stuff because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. Yeah, that's well within the push limit of this flying machine. Okay, so this should actually be pretty much all the redstone that we need for it. We just need to do the linking lines. And if you're wondering what I mean by that, they're essentially the redstone lines which will activate the flying machines. And now that I think about it, linking lines is a terrible name for it. More like activation or blast, let's call them blast off lines. So if we power our blast off lines, you can see that our little flying machines make their way down to the bottom and everything has now all been opened up. Okay, and then if we hit this button here, I break everything. So it turns out I had a lot of things in the wrong place there. Right, let's fix it up. And now it is all working nicely. Cool. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, obviously, we're going to have one of these on each side of the room. This one is going to be for chests and things. And then that one over there can be for things like crafting benches. And, I mean, see, in theory I could put furnaces in there, but I've got a different idea for how I'm going to do it, if it will actually fit. I mean, there's so much going on underneath this thing, it's kind of going to be a bit of a struggle. I also need to work out how I'm actually going to get onto the next level of this place so that I can have my bedroom. Because I'm going to be honest, I haven't thought about that just yet. And we definitely can't have a ladder in a futuristic house. Can you imagine that? We just have like this, just going up the wall. That does not fit the aesthetic in the slightest. I'm going to ignore that for the time being because I want to work on this next part of the build, which is going to be a small drop-down area, which is where all of the furnaces and the crafting benches and everything like that is going to be. Now, the first thing I have to work out is this actually going to crash into the side of our blinds mechanism? Because this is... Okay, so the blocks are going to be... yeah, that's definitely going to be an issue. Okay. So it just needs to go like this, which is slightly wonky and infuriating. It really is, isn't it? But this, of course, isn't. And it's a lot easier to build, so I guess we go with that. It also gives us a fairly unique opportunity to create some interesting piston extenders, because we're going to be pushing 12 blocks in total for each one of the modules, and we're going to have a double piston extender underneath it, which means that we need to do a slightly odd thing. Now, it's nothing too crazy, but it is interesting. So this piston right here, if it was to try and extend right now, it would be pushing 13 blocks, because we've got the 12 blocks above it, and then we also have this piston, which obviously counts as a block, so that is 13 blocks in total. So when we do our double piston extension, we need to first power this piston to spit out its blocks, and then this piston down at the bottom can extend like a regular double piston extender, and you can see that all happening here. So it fires and pushes everything out the way, and then it does its double extension. You ready? Kind of difficult to see, but it works. So now if we give it a whirl in its entirety, I gotta say, I think it's pretty cool. Look at this. So all of our chests reveal themselves, and also all of our furnaces reveal themselves. And I'm thinking inside this chest array here, I'm actually going to chuck in a crafting bench and maybe an anvil. That might be smart. And potentially an ender chest as well down at the bottom, because I've been thinking, okay, this space on the other side here, originally I was going to have that lined up to be symmetrical to this one, have chests on the other side too. But now that I think about it, this could be a really good place to get us onto the next level. I think I'm going to take inspiration from what I did over here and almost do something similar on this side that pushes me up through this gap and takes me up to my bed. And after not a lot of time at all, the upwards part of the redstone contraption has been built. So that is the up. The only thing that we have to worry about now is the down bit. Now, thankfully, I've realized that these little extra decorative parts of the build, well, they actually give us a pretty good way to send a redstone signal downwards. So I guess we can have a button up here that allows us to request and then also send down our little elevator. And I've got to say, now that it's constructed, it is really, really satisfying. So up it comes, and then down we go. Sort of. I mean, you know, it's not the most perfect exit in the world, but it's pretty cool. If we hit this button here, that will transport us back up to the bedroom. And I would say that is everything all completed with our house. So we have got hidden away furnaces and storage systems, because of course this is a super futuristic house. We can't have that sort of thing on display. We don't have a front door. Just give me a second here. We have this awesome and futuristic front door system that allows us to access our base, and that works really quite nicely. And we also of course have the laser security system, which will weed out any unauthorized visitors. I play on peaceful mode because I'm a noob. Now, of course, if you're an authorized visitor, then you can use the face scanner and you'll be able to access the futuristic house just fine. But I would say the coolest thing about this place still has to be the fact that we have got the automated blind system, which I could watch all day long. I just think it's the coolest. I seriously do think it is the coolest thing ever. And then we turn everything off. It's just nuts, isn't it? I want these in my real life house. I seriously do. So there we go, guys. I hope that you've enjoyed my video on this futuristic house. It's been a really, really fun project to work on. And I'll catch you in the next redstone video. See ya. And you know what's funny about this? When I first started recording, I had no intention of this being a heavily honey block focused redstone build. I wasn't even really planning on building it in the snapshot, but then I thought, hey, the honey blocks might come in handy, and they did. I used them for pretty much every single one of the builds in here. I just can't get enough of them.